Hi guys, Mark here with Wolters World, and we're in Lisbon, Portugal. Not really a great town to be in if you have limited mobility, and it got me thinking, along with some really good comments from some of you watchers and viewers. You said, Mark, what are 10 towns, the 10 best towns for accessibility, but for a tourism kind of accessibility for people with limited mobility? And that's what we have today. The top 10 towns in Europe to visit if you have limited mobility. And I won't lie to you, a lot of Europe isn't really that accessible, and they don't do a lot in order to help handicap or people with limited mobility, wheelchairs, these kind of things. I really suggest you watch our video on the 10 things to consider and to think about before you travel if you have limited mobility. But let's be honest, we want to see the world. It doesn't matter if you have limited mobility or not. So these are the 10 best towns from my perspective. Because what I did is I didn't just take it from an accessibility point of view. Yes, accessibility was very important, but I mean, there are some towns that really aren't that great to see, but they're very accessible. You don't need to waste your time with those. I'm trying to give you the towns that are accessible and have things that you'll really want to see. Now, let's get started. Number one on our list, Munich, Germany. And Germany in general has gotten much better in terms of making things more accessible to the disabled, to people in wheelchairs, to limited mobility people, and Munich is kind of at the forefront of that. Munich and Berlin, which also comes up later in the thing. But Munich, whether it's going to the beer halls or going to the museums, they are very accessible there. So that is one of the first places you want to go to. And if you go to the Christmas markets, all the stuff is shoveled. It's nice and flat. The cobblestones are nice and even, so it makes life a lot easier. Second place that you really want to go see is London. Now, if you want to go to the Tower of London, it's not really feasible if you are in a wheelchair. However, with the cabs do have the room for wheelchairs, so you can put it in there. A lot of museums actually do have are handicap accessible, and again, they're doing a lot to actually improve things. And that's what I've seen over the last 15 years, especially, well, actually in the last 5 years especially. Europe is really trying to make the sites and all these things a lot more accessible. So the first two towns, Munich and London. And then number three, Paris. Now, getting around Paris, there is a lot of cobblestones and stuff like that, so that can be a problem, and the taxis are kind of small, so you may have issues with that. But the main museums, like the Musée d'Orsay, completely accessible in a wheelchair, no problem whatsoever. You can ride around and see all the stuff around town, and no problem, very flat. The cobblestones aren't too bad, and it's a very accessible city. And the thing is, people are actually helpful there. For as mean and unhelpful as the service people are in France, I've seen in Paris, the people actually were helpful, whether you're with the stroller or with you're in a wheelchair. That is nice and really benefit there. Okay, so those are the three big cities that people know about. The thing is, these cities haven't won any awards for their access to people with limited mobility. The rest of the towns, the next 7, they've all won what's called the EU Access City Award, or they've been finalists for this award. So these are the awards that for cities that have done the most to, make everything more accessible to handicap, to people with limited mobility, wheelchair, all kinds of things. Okay, whether it's blindness or physical ailments, they've done stuff to make it a lot easier to see around. So these towns, number 4 on the list then, and the winner in 2013 is Berlin, Germany. I lived there for 2.5 years, and I'll agree, the town is set up very well for people with limited mobility. The museums, the sites, it does make it a really worthwhile visit. So that's number 4 on the list. Number 5, we're going to Salzburg, Austria. If you want to have your small, Austrian, German kind of feeling town, great city to visit, and also very accessible. And that's actually the 2002 winner of the EU Access City Award. So the ones that are winning actually are ones you really want to go see. Okay, another city that was a finalist is Stockholm, Sweden. And the Swedes, and like I said, more of Northern Europe, they are doing a lot more to make things accessible to everybody, which is nice. So you're probably gonna have better luck overall in Northern Europe than Southern Europe, like Italy. I don't want to be a dick, but I'll be honest, it's really hard to get around, even with my parents who are getting old. They don't really have too many mobility issues, but it is hard to travel with them, so I can't even imagine what it's like in a wheelchair. And that's one of the things, I'm not trying to be a jerk or sound bad or talk down, because I'll be honest, I don't have any mobility issues, but I've gotten so many comments and some people ask me, that's why I'm making this video. So I'm just trying to help here, okay? But north, you're going to be better off than the south of Europe, okay? Number 7 in our list, which is kind of funny I said that, is Barcelona, Spain. Now, usually Spain isn't the most, let's say, handicap-friendly, wheelchair-friendly kind of place, but Barcelona has made strides, and they actually were one of the finalists a couple years ago for the European Access, or the City Access Award. Okay, lots of stuff to see. The Gothic barrio, you can get around there relatively easily. They've made it the cobblestone. It's not the Portuguese cobblestones, which are all over the place. I mean, things are a little bit smoother there, so that makes it a lot easier. Another place in Spain that actually won it in the award in 2011 is Avila. Avila's got this magnificent castle there. It's a day trip from Madrid, which is also nice to check out and relatively easily accessible. But Avila is a really nice place to check out, also on our list, number 8. Number 9, we're going down to Slovenia. Ljubljana is Slovenia, capital of Slovenia. Really, a lot of things, they've done a lot of things to make this city more accessible to limited mobility, and also any people with any kind of handicaps. I mean, they have textured maps for the city, they have Braille in a lot of the museums, so they're doing stuff to make it a lot easier for people with limited mobility and handicap and all kinds of issues that make it easier for them to get around and see the city better. And number 10 is Krakow, Poland, which for me was kind of a surprise because I was doing research, and Krakow has been nominated and been a finalist for this EU City Access City Award a couple of times, and I was like, wow, when I was there, I didn't really think about it being that accessible, but the way the city's laid out, it actually is. Okay, so these are the 10 cities that I think are worth seeing and that have been ranked well in terms of accessibility for people in wheelchairs and with limited mobility. So I hope that helps give you an idea of some towns that, if you have mobility issues, that will be a little bit easier to get around in. Please leave a comment below. If you've gone to these towns, help people out, let them know what they should and shouldn't do. There's other cities in Europe that are really worth seeing that do have good access. Please leave a comment below so we can help out other people. So I hope this helps. I hope you have a great time traveling. If you want to learn more about traveling Europe with limited mobility, check us out at our website at www.woltersworld.com. Bye from Lisbon, Portugal.